Hi, and welcome to The Boar and the Lion. Apologies that this video took a little longer than the last one, but work got a bit in the way. So let's dive right in. The Targaryens are the last surviving family of dragon lords in the known world. They are among the last surviving members of the Valyrian race. Their blood gives them the power to control dragons, conquer continents, and it even makes them resistant to heat and fire. In some instances at least. Season 1 of House the Dragon introduces us to another unique characteristic that members of House Targaryen can possess: Dragon Dreams. In episode 1, King Viserys has a dream where he sees his future son being born, wearing Aegon the Conqueror's crown, and he places him upon the Iron Throne.
The dream. It was clearer than a memory.
Viserys wholeheartedly believes this dream to be a prophetic one, with a gruesome family tragedy as a result. Later in the same episode, Viserys reveals to his daughter Rhaenyra that a prophetic dragon dream about a future conflict with the White Walkers was the reason for Aegon's conquest of Westeros.
But ambition alone is not what drove him to conquest. It was a dream. And just as Daenerys foresaw the end of Valyria, Aegon foresaw the end of the world of men.
I must say that this episode had me quite worried. Having prophetic dragon dreams is a trait that runs in the Targaryen family, but it is very rare. Only select members of House Targaryen have been blessed, or cursed, with these dreams, and neither Viserys nor Aegon canonically belonged to this group. Viserys later comes to the realization that his dream was just a dream, not a prophetic one.
I so wanted it to be true. To be a dreamer myself.
Aegon the Conqueror being a dreamer apparently was an idea that came straight from George R.R. Martin himself. And I must say, it does finally give us a reason for his conquest of the Seven Kingdoms. The concept of what these dreams are stays a bit vague in House the Dragon. So let's take a look at what these dragon dreams are and which characters actually were dreamers in the books. Dragon dreams are prophetic dreams, and select members of House Targaryen, or people with the blood of the dragon, are known to have them. It's important to note here that the dragon dreams are known to be a rare trait to House Targaryen and their descendants, not to the Valyrian race in general. House Targaryen was not the strongest family in the Valyrian freehold, but maybe they spent their time developing their prophetic abilities rather than their political power when they were still in Valyria. Dragon dreams tell the dreamer of the future, although often in quite an ambiguous fashion. Dragons often play a role in these dreams, but this does not need to be the case. The dragons that do feature in these dreams often turn out to be metaphors. Nevertheless, the dreams do give the dreamer insight into the future. The books give us 8 characters who are or could be dreamers. 3 are characters we have already seen in Game of Thrones. 4 of them will most likely be starring in an upcoming spin-off of Game of Thrones, currently named A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And 1 was probably the most important member of House Targaryen they ever had. But let's start with the character we know the best. The Breaker of Chains, the Mother of Dragons, Daenerys Stormborn. We don't see Daenerys' dragon dreams in Game of Thrones, but Daenerys is shown to have multiple dragon dreams throughout the books. Before the birth of her dragons, Daenerys often dreams at moments that she is in despair, such as the day before her wedding with Khal Drogo, or after she's been abused by her older brother Viserys. Her dreams involve a black dragon with eyes of molten magma, who comforts her or saves her. This could possibly foresee the birth of Drogon, the dragon that Daenerys later rides into battle and gives her renewed hope that she will win back her homeland. After the birth of her dragons, Daenerys no longer dreams of the black dragon, but she has multiple dreams that seem to be connected to the future conflict with the White Walkers. She dreams of the Battle of the Trident, with Daenerys taking the place of her brother Rhaegar. She fights the armies of Robert Baratheon, who are all made of ice, and baits them in Dragonflame. She also dreams about subscribing to the channel and dropping a like if you enjoyed the video. Oh wait, how did that get in there? She does have one more dream that can be seen as prophetic. She dreams about having intercourse with Hisdar zo Loraq, with her husband showing characteristics of a White Walker. We don't know if these dreams foreshadow a future fight between Daenerys and the White Walkers, because we haven't arrived at that part in the books yet. Looking at you, George. To fans of Game of Thrones who haven't read the books, these dreams will be a completely new aspect of Daenerys' character. And it's understandable that these dreams were not portrayed in the series. They didn't play a major role, the relevance of the dreams was still unknown to us, and it's very difficult to portray dreams in a natural way on the big screen. But looking at how rare dragon dreams are in House Targaryen, it shows us that Daenerys was even more unique than we already thought. The other Targaryen dreamer that we meet in Game of Thrones is Maester Aemon. Aemon serves as the Maester of the Night's Watch, and through his interaction with Jon Snow we learn a little about Aemon's place in the Targaryen family. The show is wrong when narrating his family, however. In truth, Aemon is Daenerys' great-great-uncle, and he is over 100 years old at the start of Game of Thrones. Aemon eventually dies from old age, and in his last days he is watched over by Samwell Tarly.
Egg. I dreamed that I was old.
Samwell hears Aemon's fevered dreams about his little brother Aegon, who he nicknamed Egg. At the spare moments that Aemon is awake, he tells Samwell about his dreams. He dreams about the Red Comet, about riddles and prophecies, and the fact that the dragon needs to have 3 heads. He also dreams about dragon eggs that will not hatch, and dragons in general. The most important information he shares with Samwell about his dreams before his death is that all of his brothers had dragon dreams as well, and that their dreams killed them all. Aemon and his brothers already lived 100 years before the events of A Game of Thrones. To put this into perspective, let's look at the Targaryen family tree. Daenerys' father was King Aerys II, the Mad King. His father was King Jaehaerys II. And his father was King Aegon V, Aemon's younger brother. Before George R.R. Martin wrote Fire and Blood and A Song of Ice and Fire, the very first books he wrote in the world of Westeros, we all love today, were the Dunk and Egg novels. The Dunk and Egg novels were based in the adventures of Sir Duncan the Tall, a Hedge Knight, and Prince Aegon Targaryen, who travelled with him in disguise under the name Egg. One of the spin-offs that is currently still in production is actually based on these books, and is called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This could very well mean that we will see some of the upcoming dreamers in this future spin-off. Besides Aegon, Aemon had 2 more brothers, Aerion and Daeron. Daeron is the only brother that we actually see having dragon dreams in the books. Daeron the Drunken, as he was called, tells Sir Duncan that he has dreamed that Dunk will one day be a knight of the Kingsguard, in which he would later be right. He also tells Dunk that a red dragon will fall upon him, but that Dunk will walk away alive. We find out later that this is a metaphor for a trial of 7 in which Duncan fights, and which eventually cost Prince Baelor Targaryen his life. Regarding Daeron's death, he would eventually die from a pox he caught from a whore, so the connection with him dying because of his dragon dreams is less clear to me. Regarding Aerion and Aegon, nothing is shown or told us about them having dragon dreams in the books. Based on what Maester Aemon told us, we can take a look at their deaths to see if it holds any connection with possible dragon dreams. Let's start with Aerion. Aerion Brightflame, or Aerion the Monstrous as he was called, is one of the best examples of the Targaryen madness. He mentally abused his little brother Aegon. He is known to have tortured animals, and all of his brothers hated him because of what he was. Aerion essentially believed he was a dragon in human form, and he would eventually die by drinking a cup of wildfire, because he believed it would transform him into a dragon. His insanity aside, having a prophetic dragon dream that he interpreted wrong could have been the reason for him believing that he would turn into a dragon by drinking wildfire. For now it's just a theory, but let's hope the upcoming spin-off can shed more light on this. The last brother is of course King Aegon V. As said before, he is one of the 2 main characters of the Dunk and Egg novels. As is Targaryen tradition, he was presented with a dragon egg upon his birth. In the books, Aegon once speaks about his brother having dreams of the dragons returning, and that he hopes that it will be his egg that hatches. Aegon would eventually become king of the 7 kingdoms, and Sir Duncan the Tall would become his Lord Commander of the King's Guard. Aegon's reign was prosperous and mainly peaceful, but it would end tragically. In the last years of his reign, Aegon became obsessed with finding knowledge about the breeding of dragons. When Aegon invited all of his family to the Targaryen palace of Summer Hall to celebrate the upcoming birth of his first great-grandchild, Daenerys' older brother Rhaegar, tragedy struck. King Aegon, his eldest son and Lord Commander Duncan the Tall died in a great fire that would destroy the palace as well. The precise details about the cause of the fire are unclear, but the books heavily hint that they were caused by a ritual involving dragon eggs, and Aegon's obsession with bringing dragons back into the world. Dragon dreams could very well have been the reason that Aegon got obsessed with bringing dragons back into the world, but just as was the case with Aerion, we have to wait for the upcoming spin-off to learn more. Duncan and Egg meet yet another character that has dragon dreams during their adventures together. They meet a man that calls himself John the Fiddler at the Tourney of White Walls. He shares a dream with Sir Duncan about the latter becoming a Kingsguard later in life, which he correctly predicts. John the Fiddler later turns out to be Daemon Blackfyre II, and he has come to White Walls because he dreamt that a dragon would be born there. For context, House Blackfyre was a house that was founded by Daemon Blackfyre I, a bastard son of a Targaryen king and a Targaryen princess, meaning that despite him being a bastard, he was a Targaryen on both sides. He was legitimized by his father and presented with the Valyrian steel sword, Blackfyre, the Sword of Kings. This led many of the lords of the Seven Kingdoms to believe Daemon had a better claim to the throne than his half-brother Daeron. Daemon eventually pressed his claim, and this led to the first Blackfyre rebellion. For the better part of the next 100 years, House Blackfyre was the biggest threat to the Targaryen dynasty, until Sir Barristan Selmy slew the last of the Blackfyre pretenders on the Stepstones. The Tourney of White Walls would later be called the Second Blackfyre Rebellion, although no actual fighting took place. Daemon tried to rally men to his cause, but was surprised by Sir Brynden Rivers, marching on White Walls with an army, and was captured and brought to the dungeons of King's Landing. His dream about a dragon hatching turned out to be a metaphor for the people present at White Walls, finding out that Egg, who was in disguise, was actually Prince Aegon Targaryen. Which shows us again that these dragon dreams can be very tricky. By far the most important character in the history of House Targaryen that had prophetic dragon dreams was Daenys Targaryen, also called Daenys the Dreamer. Long before they moved to Dragonstone, House Targaryen were one of 40 ruling families of dragon lords of the Valyrian Freehold. The Valyrian Freehold was the greatest empire the world had ever seen, and they ruled Essos from the Narrow Sea until the Bone Mountains. In 114 BC, Daenys Targaryen dreamt of the destruction of the Freehold. Her father Aenar believed his daughter, and sold all his lands on the Valyrian Peninsula and moved to Dragonstone with his family, possessions and dragons. This move was seen as an act of cowardice by the other families of dragon lords. 12 years later, the Doom destroyed Valyria, killing all the dragons and letting the Valyrian Freehold crumble. We are still not 100% sure about what the Doom actually was, but what we do know is that the Targaryens were the only dragon lords left alive after this event. Daenys' dreams would lay the foundation for the Targaryen dynasty in Westeros. The last character I want to discuss is kind of a long shot. It's Stannis' daughter Shireen. Shireen Baratheon has dreams about being eaten by stone dragons in the book. The castle of Dragonstone is built to look like multiple dragons made of stone, and Shireen is afraid these will come to life and eat her. The more logical explanation would probably be that the dragons eating her foreshadow a gruesome end for Shireen. We have all seen how Shireen dies in the show, and the books have not arrived at that point in the story yet. George R.R. Martin has confirmed, however, that it was always his intention to have Shireen be sacrificed by her father. I'm curious to see how these dreams will eventually materialize when we reach the Wind of Winters in the near future. Now I know what you might be thinking. How can Shireen have dragon dreams while she's a Baratheon, not a Targaryen? House Baratheon has very close ties to House Targaryen. To start with, the founder of House Baratheon was Ortiz Baratheon, a bastard half-brother of Aegon the Conqueror. This makes House Baratheon already half Targaryen to begin with. To add to that, Rhaelle Targaryen, the daughter of King Aegon V, was the grandmother of Robert, Stannis and Renly Baratheon. So Shireen has enough blood of the dragon to be able to have dragon dreams. Personally, I'm very curious if we're going to see more dragon dreams in House the Dragon. What did you think about the dragon dreams we have seen so far? Do you want to see more? Or do you think they should tread a bit more carefully with a trait that is considered to be so unique? Please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again soon.